You're huddled with your tribe in the mouth of a cold, damp cave. The wind howls outside like a starving predator. The fire crackles weakly, wood is scarce. But something is cooking. Something that smells unmistakably human. You look around, and no one meets your eyes. One of the hunters is missing. Not because of wild beasts or disease, but because he's become dinner. Why did ancient humans do this? Was it ritual, survival, or something darker? The truth isn't just unsettling. It challenges everything we thought we knew about our ancestors. Welcome to the grim and often buried truth behind early human cannibalism. You're standing in a shadowy cave in El Cedron, northern Spain. The year isn't 2025, it's 49,000 BC. A dozen Neanderthals lie silent in the cold earth, but their bones aren't intact. They're scarred, broken, and crushed, not by time or natural decay, but by the deliberate hands of others. Long bones split open to extract the rich marrow. Skull fragments show signs of scalping. Jawbones are cracked to remove tongues and muscle. This isn't just a burial site. It's a crime scene, one where the victims and killers may have been family. So how do we know all this happened? Bones don't lie. They carry the brutal fingerprints of the past. Across Europe, in places like Goff's Cave in England and Moulagerque in France, scientists have uncovered similar scenes. Human remains mixed with animal bones, all showing identical cut marks, burn patterns, and signs of butchering. In Goff's Cave, 15,000-year-old human skulls were carefully shaped into cups, suggesting not just survival cannibalism, but something ritualistic, possibly even symbolic. This isn't a modern misreading or Hollywood-style exaggeration. These bones have been analyzed with cutting-edge forensics. Researchers use microscopic imaging to detect cuts made by stone tools. They compare them to butchered animal bones from the same layers. The evidence is consistent, even chillingly methodical. In some cases, entire groups were processed like animals, defleshed, crushed, and cooked. But perhaps the most haunting part is that it wasn't limited to one time, place, or species. Homo sapiens did it. Neanderthals did it. Even Homo antecessor, an ancient human species, over 800,000 years old, left behind cannibalized remains of children in Spain. These weren't random acts. They were patterns. A brutal, recurring behavior etched into the fossil record. And this forces us to ask, were ancestors monsters, or just human? So if it wasn't just about desperation, then why? Why would humans fully capable of making tools, hunting animals, and building communities choose to eat each other? One answer is chillingly simple: survival. In times of extreme scarcity, during Ice Age winters, famines, or long migrations, meat was meat. The human body contains over 125,000 calories. That's weeks' worth of energy for a starving band of hunter-gatherers. And unlike a mammoth or bison, humans don't require a long, dangerous hunt. If someone in the group dies, especially during a harsh season, there is the cruel logic of using what is available. It's horrifying, but it might have meant the difference between life and death. But the truth goes deeper than empty stomachs. In some prehistoric societies, cannibalism wasn't just practical. It was cultural. In Papua New Guinea, for instance, the Fore people practiced endocannibalism, consuming their dead relatives, as a sign of respect, love, and mourning. There's evidence some ancient humans may have done the same. At Goff's Cave, the transformation of skulls into cups suggests a ceremonial use. This wasn't frenzied or savage. It was methodical. Perhaps it was a way of keeping the spirit of the dead close. Or maybe it was a power ritual absorbing strength, courage, or memory through the flesh. Then there's the darker theory. Cannibalism is dominance. In warfare, eating the enemy might have served as a final act of humiliation or revenge. In small, isolated tribes where conflict could be brutal and personal, this could have been psychological warfare, sending a terrifying message to rivals. You're not just defeated, you're consumed. And what about evolution? Some scientists suggest that cannibalism might have actually played a role in shaping group behavior. Maybe those who refused to eat kin were more likely to form stronger bonds, more complex communities, and eventually outlast those who didn't. On the flip side, perhaps the willingness to do whatever it took to survive, even eat your own, was an advantage in brutal climates. Whatever the reason, it wasn't madness. It was part of early human life, just like tool making, fire starting, and hunting. The question now is, how much of that ancient instinct still lingers in us today? The shocking truth is, echoes of this ancient behavior haven't vanished. They've just gone underground. Even today, in moments of extreme crisis, the taboo breaks. In 1972, when Uruguayan Flight 571 crashed in the Andes, the survivors stranded for 72 days with no food made a grim decision. They ate the frozen bodies of the dead to stay alive. And they survived. The story became global news not just because of the miracle, but because it reminded us of something we desperately want to forget. Under the right conditions, any human is capable of it, but it doesn't stop at survival stories. Scientists have even found genetic evidence that points to a history of cannibalism embedded in our DNA. A mutation known as PRNPG127, found among some tribes in Papua New Guinea, protects against Kurua brain disease spread through consuming human flesh. This resistance likely evolved through generations of ritual cannibalism, meaning it wasn't a one-time event, but a long-standing tradition. The gene is real. The history is real. It wasn't a myth. It was inherited. Even folklore carries the weight of this buried past. Stories of ogres, witches, and monstrous beings that devour humans pop up in nearly every ancient culture, from European fairy tales to Native American legends and African oral traditions. These aren't random. They're echoes, psychological imprints of real practices, retold through cautionary stories to frighten children and warn adults. Perhaps these monsters weren't just imaginary, but reflections of the humans who once did the unthinkable. So what does all this mean for us? That inside the modern mind, beneath the phones, the cities, the laws, there still lives a creature built for survival. One that once looked at another human and didn't just see a person, but saw calories, energy, a chance to live another day. It's uncomfortable, it's horrifying, but it's also deeply human. The dark secret of early human cannibalism isn't that it happened. The real secret is that it was normal. It is easy to look back at our ancestors with judgment, to see their actions through the lens of modern morality. But when you strip away comfort, civilization, and choice, you're left with the raw edge of survival. Early humans weren't monsters. They were desperate, grieving, spiritual, and sometimes brutal. Cannibalism wasn't just about hunger. It was about ritual, respect, dominance, and sometimes fear. It was a reflection of the world they lived in, unpredictable, unforgiving, and deeply primal. What's most unsettling is realizing that these people weren't so different from us. Their brains were wired like ours. Their emotions, their fears, their instincts, they're part of us still. That same survival circuitry is buried deep in your DNA. And while modern life has buried it under convenience, stories like these remind us of the thin line that separates us from the wild past. So next time you hear a myth about man-eaters, or stumble across an old tale of bone-filled caves, remember, these stories might not be fiction. They might be the whispers of a truth we've tried hard to forget. If you found this exploration into the darker side of human history fascinating, make sure to subscribe. We dive deep into the forgotten corners of our ancient past, where truth is stranger than myth, and survival is never simple. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Was this survival, or something far more terrifying? Let us know what you'd do if you were truly pushed to the edge.